afternoon, everybody. I feel rather strange speaking in English here in a native Spanish-speaking country in such a beautiful location, which reminds us of glories past. You know what? We used to do business in El Salvador some time ago. I used to have a TV station here. I used to have banks and stores. But we were run out by criminals. Unfortunately, I didn't have the patience to stick around until Nayib Bukele showed up. So this saying that weak men create bad times, and bad times create strong men, and strong men create good times, is very much applicable to El Salvador. And it gives me great pleasure to be back here and to see this country completely changed. Completely changed. And you can just walk out there and see a beautiful library, park, and people walking around. And they have better security than in Japan here. I wish my country could be like that. Unfortunately, my country's gone the other way. And I want to talk to you all a little bit about where we are today, what we need to do. So I believe it's time for us to choose sides. Are you going to be on the right side or the left side, which is the wrong side? The wrong side is the side of the takers, the parasites, the people who work, the parasites who live off the work of us on the right side. We are the producers, we are the creators, we are free men. And on the left side, the parasites, I love to call them, I can't resist it, zurdos de mierda. Yeah, that's what they are. It's hard to translate into English, but left-wing shitheads. Yeah. These parasites, these takers, they're slave drivers, they're slave owners, and they're used to having us all as slaves. And I believe that's not nice. I believe that we should all be free men and deal with our fellow men as equals and apply that famous and beautiful golden rule, which is do unto others as you would do them unto you. I think it's a really good politics, right? But no, the guys on the left, on the wrong side, what they do to us is steal from us. And they call that redistribution of wealth. Yeah, sure. They distribute from my pocket to their pocket. And they always use the excuse of doing some good things, you know, because it wouldn't be nice to just say, well, I'm going to steal from you and we'll put it in my pocket. No, of course, you got to have some kind of excuse, right? So the excuse is, we're going to do all sorts of good jobs, like, you know, giving people scholarships, whatever. But the fact is, the takers take mainly for themselves. And these parasites, they really breed. They really expand. To the point of actually taking down and killing the host. And that's what's happening in many countries today. You can see that happening in Europe, which is the museum, you know, Europe is a museum. You can go take a vacation, have a good time, but you can never do business in Europe. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because an integral part of the wrong left is your dependence on fiat and central banks. And you can see where that is taking you, right? Because we are believers in exactly the opposite, the right side. We believe in hard money. It used to be gold and silver. That's how I got brought up, as a gold bug. That's why I wrote that book, The Bitcoin Enlightenment. it took a while for me to recognize that Bitcoin is better than gold and silver. But unfortunately, many of my very close family, my brother, my father, they have not come around to recognizing Bitcoin as better money. They still believe gold is the way to go. It's Peter Schiff thing, huh? Totally wrong. It would be comical, if it wouldn't be so depressing to see how wrong these people have been regarding the superiority of Bitcoin over gold. But still, that doesn't make gold a bad investment compared to what? To fiat, right? Well, of course, all those left-wing parasites depend on the fiat fraud, which, as you know, is continuous money printing and debasement, and this is a perpetual tax on makers and producers. And you cannot save because every day your saving is being taxed away through the hidden tax, which is inflation, and by the very explicit tax, which is the income tax, the value-added tax, the property tax, and this tax and the other tax and the other tax. So tax and spend based on the fiat fraud. And what this creates, we all know, is either a mild inflation or a hyperinflation. Now, I know all about hyperinflation because when I was growing up, at least starting my career in the 80s, we had a traumatic event in Mexico where the price of the dollar went from 20 to 1 to 3,000 to 1. So, yes, I know what it means to survive hyperinflation and hyper-debasement. And I'm not about to be caught in that trap again. And it gives me a lot of pause, to see so many people that live in the fiat world, specifically in the U.S., which has been privileged to have the world's reserve currency and has this exorbitant privilege, as the French minister used to say, Jacques Ruff, of printing all the money they want in the world. Well, that's well and good, but it's only good up to a certain point. And as the faster people recognize that they're being tricked, the faster it's going to end. And by the way, this is going to have a big effect in El Salvador too, because as you know, this country doesn't have its own currency. It depends, unfortunately, on the American currency, which is being severely debased. So even though El Salvador is on a good track, they could be better if they use Bitcoin as a formal currency. So on the left, we have these fiat fraudsters, and on the right, we have the hard money guys, the gold bugs, where we save, we speak honestly, we save with honesty, we don't take lightly to coin. But this all leads to the same ending, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the culmination of us who are makers, producers, free men, and who are on the right side of history. We will move into Bitcoins. And the left-wing parasites will move to no coins. And that's what's happening all over the world. So you guys all here, I assume during the Bitcoin conference, you already have at least more than 50% of the way in terms of convincing yourselves of what is right, of what is true, and what is honest. That's why I like to say that on this right side, we stand for respect for life, respect for property, respect for liberty, respect for innovation, for competition that brings prosperity. Unfortunately, the damn parasites on the left, they stand for trickery, for lying, for slavery, for expropriation, and finally for enslavement. And they do all that by relying on the fiat fraud. So that is the situation that I see today. And many people say, well, what should we do? Well, to end up, I will say three things. First, the most important thing that you all can do is recognize what this is about. Are you going to be on the right side or the wrong side? That's the most important point, because everything else will come from that. And I congratulate you, because if you're here, you're already closer to the right side. The second thing that I would suggest is you got to choose your jurisdiction. It's not written in stone that you belong to the state where you were born. See, they make us believe that we're slaves and that we belong to the state where we were born. Well, no. You can check out, and you must check out, because there's no reason to be slaves. And here, Max and Stacy certainly checked out, so I'll give them a big round for that. And they've done a good job, in leading a lot of people out here, and a great job of advising the president and opening his eyes to the Bitcoin world. So yes, choose your jurisdiction. And don't be confused about where you want to live. Living is one thing, and getting a tax residence is another thing. And having a passport is another thing. Nothing to do. Just choose your damn jurisdiction wisely, preferably someplace in the Caribbean. Yeah? Or maybe in Salvador. Now they're working here, huh? They got a territorial system here. So that would be my second advice. And the other very specific advice, I told my daughter and my wife, say, mortgage your house and buy some Bitcoins. Yeah, you have two assets. You got the hard asset, which is the house, and you get some coins, and you're short fiat. That's a great deal. I know many people love real estate, but real estate is contaminated because a lot of people use it as a hedge against inflation. And they don't use it in its real sense of productivity, like a factory or, I don't know, office building, or as a leisure and enjoyment that would be a house. They get confused and they think that real estate has to be for investment purposes. That's a really bad idea. Want to do investment purpose, but buy Bitcoin. So anybody today, anybody can take a mortgage, long-term, fixed rate, and buy Bitcoin. And if you have a mortgage, don't pay it off. Buy Bitcoin. So that's a very specific advice that I give to my close family. My daughter and my wife did the same thing. So I'm on the hook here. It better work out. So Bitcoin is the road to freedom for all of us. It's the only asset that is not available for confiscation. So I own a bank in Mexico. I also have a bank in Guatemala, another one in Honduras, another one in Panama. We have, I don't know, 22 million people in our bank in Mexico. And any one of those people can have your savings confiscated instantly by our government. Just today, we woke up today. One of our companies, who's in the gaming business, sport betting, had its account frozen. We're accused of money laundering. Nada, it's just politics. They did that to me because I'm in the political spectrum. And the current regime hates our guts. But they can do that to anybody. So you think you have your money safely in the bank? You better think again. The financial system, all of the banks and all the financial system are tools of the government and tools of the takers and parasites to take your money away. Be careful. Having said that, Bitcoin is freedom. And many people say, well, you know, but it's very expensive, 100,000, and today went down 2%, and you get depressed, this and that. There's just one way for Bitcoin to go, and that's up. And the reason is very simple. The value of Bitcoin as an asset today is $2 trillion. The next asset, NVIDIA, is $5 trillion. Seriously? Would you have all the Bitcoin in exchange for all of NVIDIA? I would trade it like that. So NVIDIA is $5 trillion. All the gold in the world is valued at $27 trillion. Bitcoin is 2. All the stocks in the world, 120. Bitcoin is 2. Bonds, 200. Bitcoin is 2. Real estate, 350. Bitcoin is 2. All the assets in the world, 1,000 trillion. Bitcoin is 2. Where's it going to go? Oh, thank you, buy Bitcoin. Gracias, and have a good time here in El Salvador.